Hello and welcome back to the Canaries Chat channel. Today we have a slightly different video. This is not a transfer update video. We're doing those about every couple of days, so that'll probably come out tomorrow. But this is more about my predictions on how I think we will potentially line up. Obviously, there's maybe more signings coming in, but this may highlight certain positions that we need to strengthen in as and when it comes to the opening day. It's also going to factor in my predictions of potentially players that may be leaving as well. Just to kind of, as I said, potentially pinpoint some areas that we could improve on. So let's start off with the goalkeeper. So we've obviously signed a lot of goalkeepers this transfer window so far. The two kind of main ones will be Grimshaw and Kovacevic. Grimshaw coming from Plymouth and Kovacevic coming from Sporting Lisbon. Now, those two will be the kind of number one and number two going forwards. I think it's relatively confident that Kovacevic will be the number one. And Grimshaw will be the number two. So I think this one's a relatively easy one to sort out to start with, but we'll go with Kovacevic in goal. Now, the next big thing is the formation that we'll play. So this obviously will depend on the players that we have, but it will also depend on what Liam Manning deems the best formation to play with the players. So Liam Manning has been known to change his approach and change his formation depending on the team that he goes to. Me personally, I feel like with the likes of Jack Stacey getting a contract extension, I could see us leaning towards a five at the back. So I'm actually going to go with a five at the back in this formation to start with. And the first position is that right wing back, and that would for me be Jack Stacey over Fisher. I think Fisher leans into more towards a four at the back kind of right back, whereas Stacey for me leans more towards a wing back position. So if we're gonna make the decision that it's five at the back, I will have to go with Stacey there. And then we get onto our three centre backs. So centre backs is something that we're certainly not short in supply of. We've bought in Medic, we've bought in Darling. We already had Cordoba, Duffy, McConville, Brad Hills come back from the Stockport loan, where he did very well there. So we've got a lot of centre backs that we could pick and choose from. My prediction is Duffy will go. So he's not going to be making the cut. And then that leaves five centre backs really that we could use. So Hills, McConville, Cordoba, Medic, Darling. For me, the three centre backs will be Medic, Darling, and Cordoba on the left, due to him being left footed. I do think that will probably be the rotational basis that we go on. Obviously, Manning hasn't seen a lot of Cordoba. He's only just come back from his extended leave due to the international duty that he had. But Brad Hill certainly seems to be putting his name forward as well. I know last year Brad Hills was one of my big shouts to potentially be a surprise player of the season, and then obviously he went out on loan. But I mean, Brad Hills, I'd argue if he wasn't our player and he performed the way that he did in League One, we'd probably be asking for us to be looking at him and potentially signing him. So I think Cordoba, since his injury, hasn't been at the levels he was before that. So there could be a real space there for that kind of third centre back position. But for me, Darling and Medic nailed on. Medic's an absolute beast. Darling is brilliant on the ball. Is probably going to be one of our best signings out of everyone, and he was a free transfer. I'm not really sure why more clubs really didn't try and push the boat out to try and get him in the Championship, but I'm ecstatic with that signing. So we'll go with those three at the back. We then get on to a left back, or left wing back, should I say. So we've got Christene and Mahovo. Both have had injuries, both coming back into fitness and building that fitness up. We are also looking at a left back. So the left back options that I think we've looked at, so Cresswell, Charlie Taylor, for me, see more actual left backs rather than left wing backs. So in regards to that, I think I'd go Mahovo for the left wing back position. I actually think when we played five at the back, and I believe Chris Henne played once or twice at the five at the back, he looked relatively all right. But for me, Mahovo is that future of that position. But we need to bring in that experienced left back to kind of provide that coaching and like tutelage around kind of playing left wing back and left back. So yeah, that is the five at the back. That is the back line that I would be happy for this season. As I said, that third centre back role is the real close one. I think Hills is very close to Cordoba. And depending on how pre-season goes, he may just make the cut ahead of him. But as it stands, that is where we're at. I'm actually going to go with two central midfielders next. Rather than a three in midfield, I'm going to go with a two, and they're going to be slightly more holding sitting. For me, that would be Wright, absolutely shoo-in. And personally, I think there's an opportunity McLean and Nunes go. Nunes, one of those players, I believe he's last year contract, so there's a real opportunity that we would like to cash in now. McLean's always wanted to play in Scotland for Rangers, so again, another year for him to be here is another year setback to get into that end goal. And would Rangers maybe be looking at him in a year's time? Potentially not. So for me, both of those don't unfortunately make the cut, because I just don't think they'll really be here. And then, yeah, we're then looking into that another defensive midfielder. So it may be Topic, it may be Pele Matson. One of those two, for me, after the research that I've kind of done into Topic, I think he would be a really good fit for us with Wright. So I'm going to go with him as the second one next to Wright. With Wright kind of pulling the strings, spraying the passes, I think he'd be a really good kind of that kind of quarterback role, that he can just spray the passes, control the tempo of the game, pick the ball up from the centre backs. And yeah, I think that would be a very solid two. Just ahead of them, I'm going to bring my bias straight back into it and put Oscar Fortau in that number 10 position. Don't think he played there enough last season. I think that's his best position. He doesn't have kind of electric pace to be playing on the wings. So for me, I want him in the middle where he can get on the ball, beat a man, and then play the pass. I think this could be a really big year for him. We've obviously got the likes of Forson there as well, Marcondes, but I think Marcondes will also leave. So that's why I haven't gone with him there. But yeah, I think he's played with Fitzgoran before as well, which I think will be a huge help. And he's also played in central midfield as well before for us last year. So he can also provide a bit of support there when it comes to the middle, and kind of those slightly more defensive duties. And then it comes to the two up top. So I've come to terms. I think Sargent is going, so that's by, like, it doesn't matter. So for me, it'll be Fitzgoran and Cernat up top. I think even if we go out and buy a new striker, they won't be coming in ahead of those two, in my opinion. I think we'll probably be buying maybe another youthful player to be pushing throughout the season, but not a ready-made can play there straight away. Fitzgoran looks an unbelievable talent. His finishing looks great. And I think if we can get the best out of him, that Sportowling Cup, he could be a real asset to us this year. Cernat, I thought, had a very solid start to his kind of English career. I really think that player will level up again this year. There's certain parts of the games that needed a little bit of improving, but as a raw talent, I thought he showed a lot of promise. And yeah, I'm really hoping that this year he gets that opportunity to keep on shining and keep on pushing on. And I think those three, Fortau, Fitzgoran and Cernat, could be a real kind of pain for the rest of the championship. There are some few players that we haven't mentioned. So obviously Jurasek is coming back into fitness. Obviously a bit more of a wide player, and the formation that I picked isn't necessarily a wide formation. So can't see him playing like right wing back or anything. He can play in that more central position as a cam, and occasionally as a striker. But for me, that's Fortal's position. But if we can get the best out of him, then that would absolutely potentially work. We're going to have to rotate. It's the nature of the championship. We can't just keep on piling games more on people. We're going to have to rotate, and we're going to have versatility. That being said, doesn't always mean that we'll be playing a 5 at the back formation. If we go to 4 at the back and we go to wingers, we're obviously looking at Papa Diallo. We've got Jurasek in. We've got Cerna. We're potentially then looking at another Premier League loan move as well. So there's a lot of kind of competition for positions. For me, there still needs to be, for when Sargent goes, another striker signed. As I said, not expecting a first team one, but I do think we still need another striker. I've gone on the presumption that Topic or Matson comes in. That is needed, again, in my opinion. And then, yeah, the rest I'm relatively happy with. We know we're looking at a left back. And I think once we've got the left back in, once we've got the midfielder in, and once Sargent goes and we bring the striker in, I think we're then going to start seeing a bit of a clear out as well. And that is the reason why certain players, for me, haven't made the cut, because I just don't think they'll be here by the end of the window. So that is my predicted 11. I'm sure there's going to be plenty of people that disagree with that, but so it's just a bit of fun. Doesn't need to be taken too seriously, but that's what I'm hoping to see, and what I think could possibly get the best out of the players that we currently have. Leave a comment down below if you agree or not. What would you change? And if you're enjoying these videos, make sure to like and subscribe. As I said, we've got a really audacious task of trying to hit 2,000 subscribers by the start of the season. So if you want to be part of that, then subscribe, and we will see you in the next video.